If you want their title, you have to be a company man. You can't step all over and think that, you can just brash your way to the top. What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Please follow my Instagram at Russo Lifts. Just in case something happens to this YouTube channel, you can follow, message, and you can watch my daily story content on Instagram. I'll see you there. What is up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Today's ASMR sip is sponsored by 1907, and please check the timestamps below if you want to skip the sip. But here it is for all you sipping fiends. Hashtag sloppy sip. Anyways, it's another BS clout grab. Woohoo! This is YouTube in 2022. Only way to get organic reach. Today, going to be going into a podcast clip with Dennis James. I'll have Andrew throw up my video with Dennis James. I have yet to get any sort of retort back. Guess he takes it on the chin. I'm a nobody. He's a superstar. We move on. Alec's favorite guy. Alec is blocked. Mr. Milos. Check out Milos. Milos is one of the top gurus from by where Alec lives, and if you guys watch Blunt Biohacking, if you want to see why Alec is blocked by Milos, go into that. Chris Cormier and Kevin Levrone. And Kevin Levrone spills the beans on politics and bodybuilding, aka Mr. Olympia, aka why he hasn't had a Mr. Olympia. So I'm gonna have Andrew roll a clip.
I asked Chris, and Chris, first thing he said about Joe Weider, he learned something from him. I learned, I would say, did you learn something from Joe?
Of course. I've learned not to take it personal, your placings, because I remember asking Joe, well, why is it that, none of us can never win the Mr. Olympia? You always keep giving it to the same guy. His answer to me at the time, was, if I take my top four guys, that finished second, third, fourth, and I shuffle you around, or if I put you in first and put Sean, whatever it is, then I'm still going to make the same amount of money. Nothing's going to change. But if I keep Dorian where he's at, he opens up a whole complete different market.
So to me, this is pretty obvious. I'm not gonna make a long drawn out video. Mr. Olympia is a corporation. They did the long haul forefront of making bodybuilding socially acceptable, socially protected in society, all before the years of social media, and they want to maintain, their look, their status. So if you want their title, you have to be a company man. You can't step all over and think that, you can just brash your way to the top. Me included, right? Me included. I know I'm not a genetic super freak. I don't claim to be blah, blah, blah. But in another reality where I have the perfect insertions, bubbly muscles, and can easily grind my way to the top, you must respect the federation. Same thing with the UFC with Dana White, right? He's got a cap on those athletes. You can argue for good or for worse. Dana built it. Dana, the minute you sign with Dana White, when you sign that UFC dotted line, he's giving you the potential to have instant fame and instantly different life that you would never have without the billion-dollar company Dana built. He doesn't want you running around bad-mouthing. If you start to do that, you see the company men rise to the top of the UFC as long as they keep winning, and then you see the people bad-mouthing Dana. They get something fucks up with the refs, with the judges. They eventually get politically screwed. So that's a win fight, lose fight, finite thing. Let's apply that into bodybuilding, which is completely subjective judging beauty pageant. Apples to oranges. So where you see Kevin like, I accepted it, it is what it is, it's business, because you best believe Kevin showed up to win each time. His physique was phenomenal, and I'm sure he was thinking in the back of his head after each one of those Olympias, what can I really do to improve? How do I really improve this physique? It just seems like Dorian's got the upper hand. Now, in my opinion, Dorian deserves most of his Olympias, my 2 cents. I would say an example of politics, and I'll have Andrew throw it up, is 97, and we can sit here and we can argue that, you know, shot for shot, Nasser and Yates comes out on top. But we've seen in the past, and I'll have Andrew look up the Mr. Olympia where Arnold is off as well. You know, Arnold is off. I forget the injuries he had, but there's been multiple Mr. Olympias, Jay with the torn bicep, that have still got the Olympia title. If he was giving this Olympia title to the person he thinks absolutely won, you know, based on bodybuilding criteria, and like giving the title to this person, giving the title to this person, giving the title to this person, there would be no marketable brand face as the brand's global image. So we need to take into consideration that, like, when there's an upsetting, right? Like, for example, like when Big Ramy took it off of Phil Heath. Whether you like Phil Heath or not, in my opinion, is the most complete aesthetic bodybuilder ever. You know, I think that 2009, I'll have Andrew throw up 2009 Phil Heath. That's perfection. 2009 Phil Heath, in my opinion, you know, like, oh, body dysmorphia, oh, you can never be perfect. I think like 2009 Phil Heath is like literally perfect. I don't know how to critique him there. But when Big Ramy entered the scene, oh, a new marketable figure appears. This guy's in the Middle East. Ooh, this guy's from Egypt. He's basically Egyptian royalty. Ooh, the Middle East is an untapped market. Untapped market. We already have other Olympians in Canada, aka Bumstead, or the States. We have native English speaking. What if I got Ramy and I create a whole new network branch of Olympia, a whole new network branch of overall bodybuilding acceptance, building my sport? So when they got to battling, all of a sudden, politically, right, 2009 Phil Heath, I'll have Andrew throw it up again because 2009 Phil Heath is sick. Now let's throw up a picture of Big Ramy. So when you have little aesthetic 2009 Phil Heath, right, and Ramy comes along with all that muscle mass, it's apples to oranges for business. I think we want some size, right? Ronnie, size. Dorian, size. We don't need aesthetics or symmetry. So what did that entail for Phil Heath? Phil Heath started chasing size. You can't beat Big Ramy in size. He's the genetic super freak in size. And then you slowly start to see the title switch over. And then you start to see Big Ramy's reign, because you can't just give an Olympia one title. If Big Ramy shows up nowadays and he's Big Ramy and he's conditioned and dialed in and has that freak factor size, they're gonna keep giving it to him and they're gonna build him out as a brand face and expand into the Middle East, thus growing the IFBB and NPC with all these new young Middle Eastern athletes in a low competition geographical area with other sports that can get Middle Easterners, you know, international clout, essentially, right? They have a way to grind up through the IFBB and NPC. They're under the perception of, you know, that's the road they want to go down, whereas the United States is saturated. Dorian saturated Europe. It's business. And Kevin's talking about that, and he's of acceptance of that. But at the same time, there are so many people who don't realize that it's a game of chess. It's a game of chess. Bodybuilding, competing, and actually climbing those upper echelon ranks. I'm not saying politics matter that much at a local level. They for sure matter at a national level and above. If I was sitting here on my YouTube channel, because I have a lot of respect for the IFBB and NPC as far as creating this, making it socially acceptable, giving people an opportunity to live out their dream, and this federation that backs what they want to do and can go toe to toe with big time politics to keep bodybuilding around. Say what you want of Arnold, he keeps bodybuilding protected and has ultimately super high up black pill political connections that keeps bodybuilding in the safe zone, as well as the Weeders, Gary Udit. They're all OG mafia bosses, right? They are about their business and corporation. They are legitimately badass for building this brand for this long, right? I already touched on how Dana and everyone, as far as the UFC goes, it's the same way. But when we have to draw the conclusion, right, you have to play the game of chess if you want to win the bodybuilding as far as ranking goes. You can't just play a checkers game of, if I beat him this show, boom, I win. It gets to a point where it's looking at marketable characters and then it's apples to oranges, because it is a sport, but it's not a sport as far as picking a winner. It's a beauty pageant. It's subjective. Art is in the eye of the beholder, and it can become apples to oranges. How I listed 2009 Phil Heath, aesthetic super god super freak. You know, I'm not going to say Phil Heath's persona is bad. It just seemed like it was dying down as far as the sport. Big Ramy comes along, whole new geographical area, has muscle mass that no one's ever seen since like Ronnie, and then all of a sudden, apples to oranges, it slowly switches to the size game, which Phil Heath isn't meant to put on as much size as Big Ramy. It is what it is. Phil Heath didn't want to be dwarfed. They eventually give it to Ramy. Ramy is currently building out the Middle East for the IFBB and NPC as far as a global brand image, a brand front, someone from all those little local people in Egypt and all those Middle Eastern countries to look up to and aspire to grind in the gym, to get on stage, to go through the ranks of the NPC, make the NPC money, then go through the ranks of the IFBB, saturate that entire side of the world. Politics is politics. It's a game of chess, not checkers. I will see you guys in my next video.